1 in 2 people over the age of 50 will develop a precancerous lesion in their lifetime, and the majority of them will never know it until it is too late. Not eventually, not in the abstract. Right now, at this very moment, somewhere in your body, cellular communication is breaking down. Oxidative stress is accumulating. Rogue cells are quietly ignoring the molecular stop signals they should be receiving. And the daily habit most responsible for keeping those systems in order is one that costs almost nothing, requires almost no effort, and that almost no physician will ever take the time to discuss with you in a clinical setting. That changes today. I want you to understand something before we go further. I am not here to scare you. I am here to equip you, because there is a fundamental difference between fear and awareness, and the healthcare system has been profiting from your ignorance of that difference for decades. Let me show you what is happening inside your body, using science, real, peer-reviewed, documented science, and then I am going to give you a protocol that you can start today. Not next week, not after your next physical. Today. Nobody in a white coat will tell you this. And I say that as someone who has spent decades inside the very system I'm about to describe. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The oncology model in most Western countries is built around detection, intervention, and treatment. Chemotherapy, radiation, surgical resection. These are billable procedures. These are revenue-generating events. The conversation we are about to have about daily cellular habits, about cheap, accessible foods that modulate gene expression, about a lifestyle practice that peer-reviewed literature has associated with a statistically significant reduction in cancer incidence. That conversation has no billing code. There is no billing code for this conversation. I am not suggesting your doctor is malicious. Most physicians are compassionate, overworked, and deeply committed to their patients. But they are operating inside a system that schedules them for 7-minute appointments and measures their performance by throughput, not by the lifestyle transformations they inspire. Prevention does not generate revenue, chronic disease does. The system is built for revenue, not for wellness. And until that changes, conversations like this one are the only place where you will hear what the data actually says. This is not a theory, it is a documented reality. Before I give you the protocol, I need 30 seconds of your time. If you have watched this far, it tells me something important. You are someone who takes your health seriously. You are not here for entertainment. You want the truth. And this channel exists to give you exactly that. We are building toward 100,000 subscribers, one honest video at a time. Every single one counts. If this information matters to you, if you believe that people over 50 deserve access to real, evidence-based prevention strategies, hit subscribe. Hit like. Share this with someone you love, because the algorithm will not promote this kind of content on its own. Only you can do that. Now, let's go deep. Deep biological mechanism. The cellular architecture of cancer risk. I want you to imagine you are holding a microscope, and instead of looking at a tissue sample, you're looking at the lining of a blood vessel inside your own body, at the endothelium. The endothelium is not simply a passive pipe. It is a dynamic, metabolically active organ, a single-cell thick layer of tissue that lines every blood vessel in your body, from your aorta to the tiniest capillary feeding your fingertip. This tissue is responsible for regulating blood pressure, managing inflammation, and, critically, signaling to your immune system when something has gone wrong. When endothelial function is healthy, your immune surveillance is robust. Natural killer cells patrol efficiently. Damaged or aberrant cells are flagged and destroyed. When the endothelium is compromised, by oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, poor microcirculation, that surveillance breaks down. Capillary refill slows. Immune signaling becomes dysregulated, and the rogue cells that your body should be neutralizing daily begin to escape detection. Now let's move deeper. Let's talk about fascia, the the connective tissue matrix that surrounds and penetrates every organ, every muscle, every gland in your body. For most of medical history, fascia was dismissed as anatomical packing material. We now know it is an electrochemical communication network. Fascia contains mechanoreceptors. It responds to pressure, movement, hydration, and, this is crucial, to the biochemical environment created by what you eat and how you move. Chronic fascial stiffness, often a consequence of sedentary behavior and processed food consumption, restricts lymphatic flow. The lymphatic system, your body's primary waste clearance network, has no pump of its own. It relies entirely on muscular movement and fascial mobility to circulate. When lymph stagnates, cellular waste accumulates around tissues. The local environment becomes inflamed, and inflammation, as the New England Journal of Medicine documented in a landmark 2006 meta-analysis, is the foundational upstream driver of the majority of cancers. There is also the vagus nerve to consider. This remarkable structure, the longest cranial nerve in the human body, runs from your brainstem through your chest and into your abdomen, directly innervating your gut, your heart, your liver, and your spleen. The vagus nerve is the anatomical highway of the gut-brain axis. It regulates inflammation through a mechanism called the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway. When vagal tone is high, when the nerve is activated appropriately, it suppresses inflammatory cytokines. TNF-alpha decreases. IL-6 decreases. The tumor microenvironment becomes fundamentally less hospitable to cancer cell proliferation. When vagal tone is low, as it is in people who are chronically stressed, sedentary, sleep-deprived, and nutritionally depleted, that anti-inflammatory brake is released. The body simmers. And over years and decades, that silent simmer translates into the cellular damage we eventually call cancer. Finally, consider autolysis, the process by which your own cells digest and recycle damaged internal components. You may know this process by its more widely discussed name, autophagy. The 2016 Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded for research into autophagy mechanisms because the science is unambiguous. Healthy autophagic function is one of the body's primary defenses against tumorigenesis. Dysfunctional cells that are properly autolyzed cannot become cancerous. The daily habit I am about to describe directly upregulates this process. The myth buster. Antioxidant supplements are your best defense against cancer. This is perhaps the most dangerous myth circulating in the wellness space, and it is costing people their lives. The logic sounds intuitive. Oxidative stress damages DNA and drives cancer. Antioxidants neutralize oxidative stress. Therefore, high-dose antioxidant supplementation prevents cancer. It is clean, simple, and almost entirely wrong. The Lancet published a comprehensive meta-analysis covering over 230,000 participants across randomized, controlled trials that found high-dose beta-carotene and vitamin E supplementation was not only ineffective at reducing cancer incidence, but was associated with statistically significant increases in lung cancer mortality in high-risk populations. The British Journal of Cancer subsequently published data demonstrating that isolated antioxidant supplements can actually interfere with chemotherapy efficacy by protecting cancer cells from the oxidative damage that treatment depends on. The myth is this, that you can extract a single compound from a food, concentrate it at pharmaceutical doses, and replicate the effect of eating the whole food. You cannot. The food matrix matters. The synergistic interaction between fiber, phytonutrients, polyphenols, enzymes, and minerals in a whole food creates a biological effect that no capsule can replicate. The protocol I am about to give you involves whole, unprocessed foods, not extracts, not isolates, not expensive supplements, whole foods, because that is what the evidence actually supports. The clinical protocol. The Morning Cellular Reset Protocol. This protocol costs approximately 60 cents per day. Every ingredient is available at any grocery store or market anywhere in the world. It requires 11 minutes of preparation the night before and 5 minutes of action in the morning. Here is exactly how to do it. The night before, the overnight activation phase. Step 1. Take 2 tablespoons of raw organic flaxseed, not ground, whole seeds, and place them in a small glass jar. Cover with 200 ml of room temperature filtered water. Do not use boiling water. The temperature is critical. Heat above 104 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius, begins to degrade the lignans. The phytoestrogenic compounds in flaxseed that have been documented in the Journal of Clinical Oncology to modulate estrogen receptor activity and reduce breast cancer recurrence risk by up to 33% in postmenopausal women. Cover the jar and allow it to soak overnight, a minimum of 7 hours. During this time, the seeds will release a gel-like mucilage. This mucilage is rich in soluble fiber that directly feeds lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species in your gut microbiome, the precise bacterial strains associated with robust immune surveillance. Step 2. In a separate cup, combine 1 tablespoon of raw organic pumpkin seeds with 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric and 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. This combination is non-negotiable. Turmeric's primary bioactive compound, curcumin, has a bioavailability of less than 3% when consumed alone. The piperine in black pepper, at this precise ratio, increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, as documented in the journal Planta Medica. Without the pepper, you are consuming expensive yellow coloring. With it, you are delivering a compound that a 2023 meta-analysis in Cancer Letters found to inhibit NF-κB signaling, a key inflammatory pathway implicated in colorectal, breast, and pancreatic cancers. Cover and refrigerate. The morning. The 5-minute activation sequence upon waking. Before coffee, before your phone, before anything, heat 300 ml of filtered water to precisely 98 degrees Celsius, 37 degrees Celsius. This is body temperature. You can use a thermometer or simply heat the water until it feels perfectly neutral on your inner wrist, neither warm nor cool. This temperature is not aesthetic. Cold water triggers a mild vagal inhibition response. Water above 104 degrees, 40 degrees Celsius has been epidemiologically linked. In a 2019 International Agency for Research on Cancer report, with increased esophageal cancer risk. 90 mmHg, 37 degrees Celsius is the sweet spot. It activates thermoreceptors in the stomach lining that stimulate peristalsis without thermal stress. Strain your soaked flaxseed through a fine sieve into a glass, reserving the gel water. Discard the seeds. You have extracted what you need. Pour your 98 degrees Celsius water into the gel water and stir. Add your pumpkin seed, turmeric, and pepper mixture. Add 1 teaspoon of raw apple cider vinegar with the mother and the juice of half a lemon. Drink this slowly over 5 minutes. Do not gulp. The ritual of slow consumption is itself biologically relevant. It activates the cephalic phase digestive response, triggering enzyme and bile secretion before food ever arrives in your stomach. Follow immediately with 1 tablespoon of raw buckwheat, not kasha, not toasted, that has been soaked overnight in cold water and rinsed. Buckwheat contains D-chiroinositol, a compound that improves insulin sensitivity and routine, a flavonoid that strengthens capillary walls and has demonstrated anti-proliferative effects in laboratory models of colon cancer. Eat it as it is or mix it into a small amount of plain natural yogurt. That is the complete morning protocol. 60 cents. 11 minutes the night before. 5 minutes in the morning. The manual exercise. Mechanical reboot. The lymphatic gravity activation sequence. I said earlier that your lymphatic system has no pump. That is the most important sentence in this entire video, because it means that if you do not move, your lymph does not move. And stagnant lymph means accumulated cellular waste, impaired immune surveillance, and a local tissue environment that is progressively more hospitable to abnormal cell growth. Physics is your ally here. Gravity acts on lymphatic fluid exactly as it acts on everything else. The following sequence uses gravity, muscular compression, and vibration to mechanically drive lymphatic circulation. Exercise 1. Heel drops. Stand barefoot on a hard floor. Rise onto the balls of your feet as high as you comfortably can. Then drop your heels sharply to the floor. Not a gentle lowering, a controlled drop. Feel the vibration travel up through your calves, your knees, your hips. That vibrational wave is mechanically agitating lymphatic fluid in the vessels of your lower extremities, pushing it upward toward the thoracic duct. Perform 25 repetitions. Rest. Repeat twice. Exercise 2. Clockwise abdominal massage. Lie flat on your back with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Using the flat of your right hand, apply firm, consistent pressure to your lower right abdomen, at the point where your large intestine begins. Move clockwise, up toward your right ribs, across the top of your abdomen, down the left side, and across the bottom. This traces the anatomical path of your colon. The mechanical pressure stimulates the enteric nervous system, the 100 million neurons embedded in your gut wall, and promotes peristaltic activity. It also directly compresses mesenteric lymph nodes, physically driving their contents into circulation. Perform this massage for 3 minutes each morning, immediately after your protocol drink. Exercise 3. Diaphragmatic breathing with arm. Inhale deeply through your nose, simultaneously raising both arms above your head. Hold for 4 seconds at the top. Exhale through pursed lips as you slowly lower your arms. The diaphragm, during deep inhalation, creates a negative pressure gradient in the thoracic cavity that acts as a bellows for lymphatic flow, pulling lymph from the peripheral vessels toward the subclavian veins, where it re-enters circulation. 10 repetitions, every morning. Total time, 4 to 5 minutes. The physics are irreducible. Movement generates lymphatic flow. Lymphatic flow clears the cellular environment. A clear cellular environment is an inhospitable one for cancer. The case study, Andrew's story. I want to tell you about Andrew. Andrew was 58 years old when I first met him. He had been flagged after a routine colonoscopy. 3 tubular adenomas, all removed. Low-grade dysplasia. His gastroenterologist had told him to come back in 3 years and had given him a pamphlet about fiber intake. That was the extent of the conversation. Andrew was terrified. He came to me not because he was seeking alternative medicine. He was deeply skeptical of anything outside the conventional model, but because he felt abandoned by a system that had found something alarming inside his body and then handed him a pamphlet and showed him the door. He felt crushed. He felt like a statistic waiting to complete itself. We did not throw out his gastroenterologist's advice. We built around it. I introduced Andrew to a version of the morning protocol you just heard, adjusted for his specific metabolic profile, his medication interactions, his schedule. We added the lymphatic exercises. We worked on sleep. Because the research on melatonin's role as an endogenous anti-tumor compound is, frankly, underappreciated in clinical practice. We talked about stress physiology and vagal tone. Andrew came back 18 months later for his surveillance colonoscopy. No new polyps. 0. His inflammatory markers, CRP, IL-6, homocysteine, had all moved into optimal ranges. His gastroenterologist, to his credit, noted the results and asked what he had changed. Andrew is not a cure story. I want to be very precise about that. He is a man who took ownership of his cellular environment, who understood that the 3-year gap between colonoscopies was not an invitation to do nothing, but an opportunity to do everything within his power. And his body responded to that stewardship. He emails me every year on the anniversary of his first appointment. He has never missed a morning protocol in 4 years. The age engagement hook. How old are you? Write it in the comments below. I want to ask you something directly. And I want you to actually do this because your answer matters. How old are you? Write it in the comments right now. Just your age, that's all. Here is why I am asking. Cancer risk is not monolithic. The hormonal environment of a 52-year-old woman is biologically distinct from that of a 67-year-old man. The metabolic considerations for someone at 50 are different from those at 75. The foods that most powerfully upregulate autophagy in a younger postmenopausal body are not identical to those most effective in someone managing age-related insulin resistance. This data helps me tailor future videos to your specific physiology. When I look at the comments and see that 70% of this audience is between 60 and 72, I know exactly what to prioritize in the next video. I know which mechanisms to emphasize. I know which myths are most dangerous for that cohort. So write your age in the comments. You are not just answering a question. You are helping me build a resource that serves you better. Final warning and conclusion. Before we close, I need to say something that I will always say in every video without exception, because I believe it is the most important thing I can offer you. What I have shared with you today is not a replacement for medical care. It is not a cure for cancer. It is not a reason to skip your screening appointments, discontinue your medications, or dismiss the advice of your physician. Nutrition and lifestyle work alongside medicine, not instead of it. The morning protocol I described exists to optimize the cellular terrain in which your medical care operates. It is the difference between a garden that has been cultivated and one that has been neglected. The same seed behaves very differently in each. The scientific literature on lifestyle and cancer prevention is not fringe. It is published in the most prestigious journals in the world. It is taught in medical schools, though rarely translated into the 7-minute appointment. The gap between what the science says and what patients are told is not a gap of knowledge. It is a gap of incentive. And closing that gap is why I make these videos. I want to leave you with something that might sound unusual coming from someone who runs a health channel. I profit from you not needing me anymore. My measure of success is not your return visit. It is not your subscription renewal or your engagement metrics. It is the moment when you know enough, when you have internalized enough about your own biology, your own cellular environment, your own daily habits, that you feel genuinely equipped to take care of yourself. That is the moment I am working toward with every video I produce. Take the protocol. Run it for 30 days. Pay attention to how you feel, not in the abstract, but specifically, your energy in the morning, the quality of your digestion, your mental clarity, your sleep. These are not subjective feelings. They are signals from a body that is either being resourced or neglected. Listen to those signals, act on them, and come back here for the science you need to understand what they mean. Stay well. I'll see you in the next video.